Okay, Doreen, so welcome to Tama's podcast. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
All
as
right.
good as I can possibly be at the moment.
I'm so glad we're finally doing this after
I
I don't
know
know how
it's
long we've
been
been
a
speaking.
long time. It's been well over 12 months. Well over.
Listen,
But
you
we've
you're
got
worth
here.
the wait. Exactly, you're worth the wait as well. All right.
Thank you so much.
So, if you understand, you are a CEO of Elevated Minds. So, Elevated Minds, I believe you do work with young people. Can you explain a little bit more about what Elevated Mind is and when you started?
Oh yeah. So, oh my gosh, Elevated Minds is very much my baby. It's all about it. It's a vision that I had, and I don't know if you know, but I've been in education now for about 38 years. Oh my God, it makes me sound so old, but 38 years is a very long time where I've been educating young people. I've been working with parents, working with professionals. I mean, I was very fortunate when I came to London in 2000 and had a fantastic mentor, Pam Bowmaker, who just put me under a wing and guided me. And then I met Devon Hanson, who mentored me as well, you know. And so it was great to be given opportunities to go into other education establishments and see how they teach young people, especially young people from the Black community. So I was trained as a behavior specialist and then went up the ranks, if you like, through education, and then moved to a pupil referral unit as the deputy head, then a head in 2000. And oh my gosh, now this is testing my memory. It showed my age. In before 2010, I think. I think it was around 2007. And yeah, and so did a lot of work with young people who are vulnerable, who needed additional support, who was being excluded from school, whether it's temporary or permanent. Um, and then Elevated Minds came as a result of the work I was doing in the People Referral Unit, introduced the Identity Project, which was written by Akila Brown at the time, who I invited to come in, observe them. We knew that their intelligence and emotional intelligence was needed to be boosted, needed improvement, and so self-confidence and self-esteem. And she wrote the Identity Project, which is very much based on young people and vulnerable young people. The young people in the pupil referral unit, we tested it on them over a whole term, and they liked it because it was about them and it really boosted their confidence, but they didn't like all the writing. So we made a little bit of changes to it based on their feedback and then rolled it out into other schools. So Elevated Mind started in 2018 when I started to get everything together and then registered it in 2019. So it's predominantly for young people who are considered vulnerable in the community, young people on the verge of exclusion, have been excluded, not attending school. Because if you're not at school, where are you? What are you doing? You're not being educated. That means your knowledge is not growing. And but also young people at the other end of the spectrum who are gifted and talented, who are not quite reaching their full potential, or young people who need those additional opportunities, if you like, to see what they're about, see who they are, which is what we do. We create opportunities for all young people.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah, we've been very busy at the moment, running a day six provision as well, and we've applied for independent school status. And so schools are using us for day six. So when they've excluded young people for more than 5 days, then they come to us on day six and stay with us for whatever period of time. So we're coaching them, we're offering them so much more than I suppose you'd find in the pupil referral unit, only because we're trained coaches. That's what we do, life coaching, building emotional intelligence, building confidence, etc., as well as doing their schoolwork. So yeah.
That looks wonderful. I mean, what you do you think is similar? I don't know if you heard of what you do is there's a group an organization I think our school works with Mentivity. You think what you guys do is similar to them?
Mentivity mentors, we coach,
Hmm.
we do life coaching, and I do know Mentivity because I know Sace and Tyson and Leon. When
Yeah.
I was the head at the pupil referral unit, they used to work for me, and so a lot of the training, a lot of support and certainly opening doors for them when they first started Mentivity. That was very much down to me and my network and my ability to do so. So yeah, so I know
Mm,
them. They do a lot of sports. We don't look at sports. We don't, as much as we've got a fantastic environment and we look at careers. We look at interviews. We look at putting CVs together. We do a lot of support in terms of tutoring, that type of support, where we've got specialists in. We have a Friday Connect sessions where people come in from industry, all industry. It could be from the corporate world, as in finance. We barristers, we have police. From the top down, police officers come in and talk to young people. We have community members, depending on what their skills are, coming and talk to young people. It's just what the young people need and want
mm,
out of life, and whatever their ambitions are, we find somebody in that field, if you like, who can come in and just speak to them. And so, not just close the gap between their organisation, young people, especially young Black people, but
mm,
people who can offer that support. And some of them offer additional mentoring in whatever their profession is for the young people, and that works really well. So yeah, we do things differently, and we do it from a very much a coaching
mm,
standpoint. So it's about speaking to the young people and asking them questions so they can find out who they are and what they want. And so we lead from behind, so to speak. So it's about them navigating their way through whatever hurdles, but with our support and our guidance to help them over, around, under whatever way they direction they take to go beyond those hurdles that they come across. So yeah.
mm.
Um,
It's very
so
interesting.
young people, yes, but we do things totally differently. I think we're very unique, but yeah, we know Mentivity well, and they're literally down the road from us as well.
Oh, okay, that's great. So I need to touch up a little bit on education system. Do you think, in a way, the system is broken? Do you think for Black young people, in your opinion?
So what do you mean by broken?
So I believe that I've been working in school for over 10 years, and I do believe that the system is broken one way or another. I feel like there's not enough inclusivity for vulnerable people. I feel like they're the target because they're not understood. And the best way for the school is to place them somewhere else. But I feel like it's not gonna
Okay.
help in the long term, like for traumatic purpose. I don't think it's gonna help. So do you think
Okay.
I mean, what
So
do you think
so
about strong statement?
so you said that you worked in the educational system for how long?
For this year's gonna be 10 years.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Mhm.
You've got a few years to go yet to catch up with me, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And are you in school now?
So technically yes, technically not. I've been made redundant,
Oh,
but it also made me realize a lot of things. I've been reflecting quite a lot, and
yeah.
I do believe that much more needs to be done, especially in mainstream school. And kicking kids out doesn't solve the problem for them. For the school, yes, but not for the young person.
No, not at all. And so before I answer your question, let me ask you to describe something to me.
Yeah.
Describe a typical school week in
Mm-hmm.
your eyes, from your experience, where it shows a broken system. What does that look like?
All right. So I teach languages. Okay. Personally, before it used to be mandatory, and I always was against that because not everyone is going to like if you have learning difficulties. Learning a language is the least of your problem. You should get help more into the English, more into things that also interest you, what you want to do, because forcing kids to do languages, it doesn't help. And I feel like there are some subjects, okay, I get the core subject has to be done for the education, for the success, but there's a lot of things that we should do more in secondary school that we don't. Like life skills, for example, we should teach them that when you leave school, what you can expect. So maybe workshop on learning how to do a CV, workshop on expenses when you get wages, what you need to spending on. I mean, things like that, I believe, will be more rewarding for them than for them caring about learning a language or learning whatever that subject that we have. That's not going to help them in any way. So as a result, especially those on the spectrum, autism, ADHD, those with learning difficulties, they are always the one finding themselves removed from classes and expelled and also suspended. We're talking about the same ones. And then when you look at their profile, you see that they have learning difficulties. And my problem is, we are supposed to be inclusive, but we need to follow the behavior policy if somebody's not responding to your instructions. But at the same time, what support is there in place for that child? Because I believe more needs to be done. We do instead days, we say it, but we don't do it. That's the problem I have.
So I think that, you mentioned the behavior system and the behavior policy, and I will just pick up on bits that you've said, and my opinions will come through as I'm talking. The behavior policy is there as a guidance, and so as
Mhm.
individual teachers or support staff or any adult who works in school, it's there first and foremost as a guidance. And
Yeah.
so if you're not sure what to do, you look at the policy. But if you know that a child has learning needs, whatever those needs are, and you can support over and above what you do for that teaching when you're teaching a group, then you're going to support no matter what the policy says. So when I was in class, and I've got a class of 35 sometimes young people, and there was one or two who were disruptive, and even though it was low level disruption, it was still disturbing the people around them.
Mhm.
What I would do is make sure they sat at the front of the class, and they didn't like that. So if you don't like sitting at the front of the class, then you need to pay attention. You know,
Yeah.
all my work was always differentiated because I believe in everyone should be able to access the curriculum. So you're right, inclusion is important. But if young people still couldn't access the curriculum, even if the work was differentiated, then what I used to do is reciprocal teaching and pair them with people who understood, who were able to go through. Because when you're teaching, you're also learning, and
Yeah.
so that worked really well. And last but not least, as adults, and so I believe in adults coming in, learning support staff coming into the classroom to support the children. So the children are still getting the learning in the classroom. If you're going to withdraw them to give them additional work, then it should not be during the lesson time, I don't believe. And so in my classes, especially English, math, science, any core subjects, IT, you cannot withdraw children. But, and I didn't let them get withdrawn from PE lessons or anything like that. But I do believe lunchtimes is for an hour, half an hour, lunch, outside for a bit, come in and do additional work. After school, half an hour, do additional work. So the additional work was in the time of the young people mostly, with the support of parents, which is good, but also with the support of the head teacher. And I do think that helps with inclusive aspects. I also think that you're right. If a child has got an SPLD, which is a specific learning difficulty, or they're on the autistic spectrum, or if they've got ADHD, or whatever their specific learning needs are, of course they do need additional support. But you need that initial recognition, admission that there is a learning need there, first and foremost. I know a lot of parents don't like their child to be labelled. They don't like labels, especially
No.
parents from Black heritage communities,
Yes.
because they've told me that. But then I used to be a Senko. When I first came to London, I went to the charter school, and I was at the charter school for 7 years. I was a Senko there and did
Wait,
a
wait, 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 wait. Which charter?
Charter North Dulwich.
Oh, I work in East.
Okay, so Charter North Dulwich it used to be called William Penn, I think, and then it was all
Yeah.
revamped and renamed.
Mm.
So I was part of the very first cohort at the charter school, and
Mm.
then they had year seven and built up on it, and it was great because we were able to work with the children, their families, everyone, and help to mold the children into who they wanted to become because we had sufficient staff and it was a great team and you could see the growth of the young people. But I was able to coach them as well, which you can't do in school now, because you just
No.
don't have the time unless you withdraw them. So that was great. And so it's recognizing what the children want. And some of them don't know what they want. Some of them don't recognize their needs. But if
Mm.
you see that there's a need, the first and foremost, have a conversation with the child and with the parents. So the parents are involved from day one. And I believe with parental involvement in schools continuously, no matter how old your child is, then you help to keep your child on the straight and narrow. But if your child does have a need, an additional need, of course, first and foremost is that they should be able to access the curriculum. They should be able to read and write. They should be able to understand whatever key skills is needed for them to survive. But I do believe that languages. I love languages. I can't speak French. Can't. But as soon as I go anywhere and hear it, I start joining in, and it comes back again. But some young people love to learn things outside their comfort zone, and languages is one of them, especially if it's for a child who's got additional needs. And so I know some children who I've worked with on a one-to-one who do have ADHD, and they've learned the language and they love it because they've done something that they didn't think they could do. So I wouldn't say no to languages, but I would say, and I would agree with you, that it's not a priority if you've not got the other basic skills already. And so, yes, make sure that the basic skills are there. As for what you were saying about young people being kicked out of school, permanently excluded, or temporary exclusion, which was called suspension. They keep changing the names, but it all means the same thing. You know, exclusion should be a very, very, very last resort. And it's not, because I personally think that in teacher training colleges, it needs to be realistic. You come across young people who are on the spectrum, the autistic spectrum, they've got various forms of specific learning difficulties. And even though you read about it and you may be told about it, what they're not taught is how to manage it. If somebody's talking to you from a textbook and saying this is how you manage and this is why it works, you might be talking about a typical child who's well behaved, whose parents has got the resources, and they've been brought up in an environment where they were resource rich anyway. And so they've had everything, what they need in order to get on and survive schools. But a lot of children from Black heritage communities were always overlooked, so whatever their needs are, they weren't diagnosed because parents didn't want it, but schools was not necessarily interested anyway. All they saw was a naughty child. And so that label, I used to go to visit schools and sit in the staff room, and the staff didn't know who I was. And you could hear them talking about the children. Straight away what the background of the cultural background, the heritage of the children they're talking about from the names that they're using. And I'm thinking, can you not see me sitting here? And even if you're having those problems, then speak to the parents, speak to a line manager, speak to someone who can help you to overcome those problems and support those problems, as opposed to bad mouthing a child. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Children misbehave if they've got learning difficulties or learning needs, additional needs, and they're not being supported. And rather than say, I don't know how to do it, I don't understand it, I need help, they'll misbehave. Children will misbehave if they don't have any needs at all. They're gifted and talented and very intelligent, and given work that's not challenging them, and they think it's rubbish, and they think actually that you're taking the mick, I'm not doing it, throw it away,
Yeah.
I'll miss about instead. So you've got both. You've got children at both ends of the spectrum, and you find children who are classed as naughty in inverted commas, and these children are not naughty, they're just not being challenged. And then you've got children who need the additional support and they're not getting that. So exclusion, yeah, it does happen. I personally think that children of Black heritage community are disproportionately excluded from school, just like so many other negatives in the community that children of Black heritage community experience, which is, it's so unfair. It's not good. But what we're doing is working hard, and we need to work in unity. And I say we, that's all educationists, all
Hmm.
organizations, everyone who has the skill, the ability, the knowledge to make a difference in children's lives, to work together to make sure that the community of children, no matter what their cultural backgrounds, but especially Black heritage children, are not excluded just willy-nilly, just go, get out. get out of my classroom. Once you're told to get out, you're not going to want to be there because you know you're not wanted. But when the school says you're permanently excluded, oh my goodness, that's telling you that's traumatizing in itself because it's telling you
Yes.
you are not wanted. So you may feel that you're not wanted in the class, but when you're not wanted in the entire school environment and you're kicked out, and then parents are not sure what to do, parents may get angry and you feel you're not wanted there either. You end up in a place where there's loads of children not wanted. So of course they're going to do what they need to do to survive. If
Mhm.
they come together and form what is often known in society as a group of people that's with negative attitudes because of the trauma they've experienced, and they're often known as a gang, then what can you say? Because what you're saying is nobody wants you. So you're going to find somebody who's interested in you for something you've got to offer, whatever that is. And so I'm not saying it's right. What I'm saying is that children are often set up to fail because they've been kicked out of school. They've been kicked out of education in mainstream education permanently, and it shouldn't be happening like that. And so once you've kicked out, what else do you have? So yeah, I would
Sad.
go on all day about this because I feel so passionate about education, about knowledge is key. And I always say this to the young people that we work with, knowledge is key. And in order to get knowledge, you have to be educated. You've got to have some form of education. You are not going to know as much as the person next to you who's been educated, who's reading a lot, who's listening to adults when they're sharing experiences and sharing their knowledge with them. If you don't want to know and say, I can find my own way, I'm telling you, you're not going to know nowhere as much. And so if you want to become an entrepreneur in whatever profession, then yeah, brilliant, but you need guidance and support to do so. Nobody was born with wisdom and knowledge and everything else. We all had to go through whatever experiences are, learn from those experiences, but also learn from people who know more than we do. And that's teachers, those are educators, aren't they? So, yeah.
No, you're totally right. I mean, I love the way you talk with passion because you have been to the education system, and then I feel like you use all of this to set up Elevated Minds, which is amazing, and I'm sure is already transforming lives of young people. Have you been thinking of going throughout schools and talk about what you do? Like, do the schools invite you
So
to give
yeah,
a talk?
so we work in several schools, and so Elevated Minds is very much about educating the
Mm.
community, educating children and young people first and foremost, but then working with their parents and helping their parents. And we've got, oh, you can just about see it, having challenging
Mhm.
conversations for parents, carers, and families, and that's very much about coaching.
Yes,
Oh, sorry,
that's all right.
working with parents, carers, families, and coaching them. So when we do fantastic work with the young people, and what the things that we focus on, and I like to sort of write things down and not miss anything out, but the things that we focus on is unconscious bias. And so that's unconscious bias from teachers, from even parents themselves, from community members. Hello. Yes, that's fine. That's one of the young people who I've got with me at the moment.
Nice. Mhm.
Yeah, so this causes challenging relationships with children, doesn't it? And so unconscious bias, and I always say unconscious and conscious bias because some people know exactly what they're saying and doing when they're speaking to a young person and setting that young person up by saying things that they know are triggers for them. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
there's you find that some adults have different difficulties in communicating and connecting with young people as well. And then there's challenging behaviors from the young people. And you, as a parent or as a teacher, you've got to adapt the way you approach them because not everyone's different. We're all unique.
Yes, yeah.
And then there's a lack of meaningful and sustained contact and discussions with young people. And so that's important as an adult that you recognize that all these things are labels that young people give you as an adult, and look at, and so if you say the wrong thing do you want to say hi?
Yeah, let me see who's this.
Just poke your head round. We don't want to necessarily see. Just poke your head. You don't.
Hello,
Yes.
you're right.
Yeah, good. Thank you. And you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm talking to Doreen, but don't worry, we're not gonna be too long,
Yeah.
and then she's all yours.
Okay. I'll see you in a bit. See you in a minute. Thank
There you
you.
go.
You're welcome. You need to lock the door. Um,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, but as I was saying, and young people need to that guidance, that support to be able to express their thoughts and their feelings and
Mm,
their emotions. And there's a way of doing it. And some young people don't necessarily have those skills and tools to express it what we'd say appropriately in inverted commas, and so if somebody loses their temper and goes mad because actually that's the only way they know how, so work with them, guide them,
mm,
because everyone deserves a second chance, everyone
yes.
deserves a third chance. I totally believe in that. But mental health is, because, as you know, post COVID especially, is becoming a major problem, has become a major problem, particularly with young people.
Yes.
And you can see it, and it affects their self esteem, it affects their confidence. And so, anyone who's working with young people should be trained sufficiently well to recognize when there's a need, a mental health need, and mental health issues, and get that support for the young people. And so, building, I know that what's important to me is not just my connection and my positive relationship with the children and young people I work with, but also with their parents. I
Mm,
need to get to know the family, which is what we do. So building those positive relationships with parents. And once I get to know the parents, I'm building it with schools. I've got some brilliant relationship with schools and teachers, especially heads of years as well as head teachers
mm,
and institutions as well. And so our approach is a 360-degree approach. And so we work with a young person, but we work with all the significant adults in their lives as well as siblings, so that everyone contributes to what we do. And this is why we offer training, not just to parents, but to teachers, to institutions, to any professional who works with young people. We offer training and support so that that young person is then set up for success. They're set up for good outcomes, much better outcomes. So, and then we help the young people to make positive decisions in schools. I mean, I could go on and on
no,
and on.
listen. I love your passion. I love like, the fact that you care. I love the fact that you're passionate, you're driven to get those kids. They have to understand they're the next generations of doctors, teachers, prime ministers. I mean, you name it. So I feel like you are giving them a chance, even though the situation looks bad. But you're like, no, 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 it's not as bad as you think. And you that we need more.
Yeah. So
I mean, I like that you've opened a lot. I feel like whole UK we need elevated mind.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of situations look bad though, don't they, Kalma? And the thing is that, when we see that something is challenging, when we see that something is negative, we're not going to focus solely on that one thing and think, oh, can't do it, it's too bad, or it's really negative, or it's this, or it's that, or the other. What you do is say, okay, we are very much solution focused in our approach to anything we do. And so we are a solution focused organization. So we do an awful lot of work with the Metropolitan Police Service. Now, the reason why we work so much with the police is because I've been to so many funerals, and I was saying it's 5 funerals of young people that I've taught over the years,
Oh,
who has been killed by another young person who looks like them,
listen.
and so when you go to a funeral and you get to know the parents, and you know that child so well, and then you see all the other peers who are there who are inconsolable, and it takes a bit of you away every single time. And what I was doing was walking away feeling more and more and more down every time I went to a funeral, and it hurts, it really does.
Mm,
And I thought, I can't do this. If I want to look after my mental health and my well-being, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I still speak to parents now. I mean, one sent me this beautiful, beautiful message the other day just about how much I touched their child and impacted their child's life. And you think, But when children feel unsafe and they don't want their parents involved for whatever reasons, they weren't going to the police. And they weren't going to the police because there's no trust and confidence there. And some of them was through first-hand experience of stop and search, which was negative, but a lot of them was what adults were saying to them. If it was parents, it was older people in within the family, older relatives, more senior relatives, or people in the community who are senior, and they were taking it all on board. They think I can't approach the police because they will do this, and this to me, and they won't do anything anyway. And so we started working with the police, it's an aspirations program is called, and it was very much about closing that gap. So it was about improving the relationship with young people, especially young people from the Black community in the police, so that they could actually speak to them. When you feel unsafe, the police are there to serve us. The police are there for the community. And so we train young people to train the police in cultural awareness. And so they tell them about themselves, what they expect, what Black people are about, and if we behave a certain way or look at you a certain way, it's not because we look at you and hate you and want to cause a problem. It's because this is our custom, but this is what we expect from you. This is how we expect you to behave with us. And that's gone down great, because this is mostly with new recruits, but also some senior officers. And it
Okay.
works well because they see the young people, as human beings, and not as gangsters or whatever in hoodies. But likewise, the young people see the officers as human beings and not as people in uniform who are going to knock them down and arrest them for no reason. So that relationship is becoming more and more positive. The aspirations program is very much a closer look at policing and what it's all about. And we've got a few Black officers, like Sikan Etok, who has been working with us from the day Elevated Mind started. He's a
Mhm.
police officer, he's a schools officer, and now is and the engagement community officers for the for the faith community. And so he's been working with us since day one on the aspirations program. But we've got loads of officers, including senior officers, including the commissioner himself, who supports the program, because what it does is brings a lot of young people. I mean, we had 60 this year into environments that they'd never otherwise go into, but it also allows officers who would never talk, mix, get to know young people, especially Black heritage um, cultures, to get to break down those barriers and have those conversations, where the children see them outside and they still talk to them now, with or without their friends. And what we want is to break down barriers so that young people can approach the police when they need to, or
Mm.
young people can consider, if you want to see change, then you have to be in it to change it. You can't be standing outside and I always use the analogy of a football pitch, and you're standing on the side, the players don't know you, but you're standing there saying, do this, do that. Who's going to take any notice of you? But if you get involved, then, and you'll say, actually, this way works better, because people are more likely to listen to you, and this is why we do what we do. But we've got a very positive relationship with policing, local policing, as well as national policing. We've gone around nationally, and when we went to eight or 10 different schools in loads of different cities across the country. And the
Ah,
biggest problem, yeah, it was great. It was,
amazing. Well done.
and the police paid for this. What they did was, they commissioned it as part of the police race action plan, and we did the same with the London race action plan. And what we found, and it comes from the children, not only written down but verbally to us, that the biggest problem for nearly every child, I think it was something like 98% of the children said that their biggest problem with growth, with understanding, with feeling safe, etc., was in school. Their biggest
Oh.
problem is in school, whereas we expected police everywhere. And I said, yeah,
Mm.
we see. And some of them had good relationships with police, some of them didn't because of what they've heard. One or two of them had first-hand experience of stop and search, but parents got involved in that, which was great. We're also involved in the stop and search charter to make it better for Black communities, Black and brown communities, which is great. But we were so amazed that the biggest problem was exclusion from school,
Yeah.
teachers picking on them, parental relationships with teachers wasn't good. school not believing them, they're not trusting them, they don't feel safe. And I thought, oh my gosh, school is miniature society. We've always said this, haven't we?
Yes.
Therefore, experiences in school will follow you when you become
Mm.
an adult, and that stays with you. So all that trauma, and no wonder there's no trust with people in authority outside, because there's no trust inside. So it's got
So,
to start from education. Yeah. And police officers are no longer in schools, which I totally disagree with, because come in and speak to the children. Don't come in and police the children, but come in and let the children get to know you. Talk
mm-hmm.
about your role, what you're there for, what you do in the community. You remember we used to have, when I was younger, because you know that I'm very senior now. We used to
Oh,
have
look it.
hobbies on the beat, and we used to have conversations with them all the time. I mean, we were told we weren't allowed to talk to them, but we did, because they didn't do anything to us. But what I'm saying is, what a difference that was. And so Bobby's on the beat, fantastic. And so I think we're getting that a bit more with the engagement teams as well.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying. I really love. Again, you, I'm shocked about what you're saying, that young people find the main problem is in school. But in a way, I'm not so
I was
shocked.
going to say why, because you're saying there's not even inclusion in
Yeah,
your
but
experience.
I thought it
Yeah.
was gonna, there's other stuff, but in a way, I am not, because I've been in the school. You know, when you work somewhere and there's a lot of things that happen you don't agree with, you say something, but they disregard what you're saying. But when something bad happens, oh well, we should have listened to that person. It's like I don't
Yeah.
feel listened to. When I
Yeah.
was a teaching assistant, I was at the bottom of the ladder. I
Oh.
didn't know what I'm talking about. I'm a teacher, but I'm still not. My voice is not heard. Why? Because I'm not SLT or the head teacher. So it's like, when can I be heard? And at the time, I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
just take
I
the day over
I
and just go home.
Yeah, I started teaching my siblings at home, Telma, and ended up being the head, because it's what I loved. But I've been to, and I'm going to name some excellent schools that I've been into, because schools bring us in. When you know that a school wants to make their children better, their young people, sorry, are really, really, really good. And even
Okay.
the ones who are struggling, they're doing interventions for them to make sure that they bring them up. That's what you call inclusive schools. St. Thomas the Apostle College, one of the best schools I've ever, ever, ever.
I applied there, didn't get it.
Oh my God, they are fantastic. Sacred Heart, fantastic, because they're sister schools,
I
fantastic.
applied there and it didn't.
Fantastic. But St. Saviour's and St. Olive's girls' schools, fantastic. So we go into these schools, they're absolutely brilliant, and they're great at what they do, because they're very inclusive. But they want these interventions. And so they say, you know what, come in and help us, because all this is going well, but this little bit here, we need additional help with that. When you recognize that and take that on board as a head teacher, as an SLT, that's when your school starts going like this, because the children, young people, realize and recognize that you mean the best for them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, those are three schools. I mean, there are loads more. I mean, loads of primaries as well that we went into, which are great. Can I name them? Let me see if I remember them. Hollydale, John Donne. Um,
Oh,
oh my
John
God,
Donne.
John Donne
Oh,
is great. There's another one called, oh my gosh, it's a Catholic school, and it's called, oh my gosh, Joy Welcome. I work with Joy Apachota, and her school is called,
is he
um,
around? Is he around? You know where about is this
it's
school?
near, it's just off Walworth Road, not far from the
I
bar.
wouldn't know. I know more Dulwich and Peckham, unfortunately, so I wouldn't know that one.
It's called, oh my gosh, I was looking for it.
I'm sure when we finish our conversation, you will remember it.
I always do that. I always do that. Yeah, but it's gone. I can't find it.
So
But
the
that's a
main point
brilliant
is
charter school. I mean, that's a
that's
brilliant. The charter school, North Dulwich, brilliant. I worked there for years and years, but I've not been back there. But we're trying to go and do aspirations there as well.
I
So
think you
we're trying
should.
to get into charter, North Dulwich, to do the aspirations program. We're going to hopefully go to Sacred Heart and do it. We're at Stack doing it already,
Wow.
and we're going to a Camden school in Camden, yay, to do it as
Camden.
well. So yeah, that
Hmm.
we are multi award winning in terms of people recognizing and appreciating what we do. We've just won another award. We've just had a young lady. Now I need to tell you. So
Ah.
one of our students, and I'm going to tell you what she's won because there's an embargo, but now we can let you know what she has won, and she has won. Oh,
How old is she, by the way?
she is seven. She's just started uni, so she's just turned 18 actually.
Oh, wow. That young, already inspirational. Fantastic.
She's just won a. Oh, I'm in the no wonder I couldn't find. That's what I couldn't find for school. So the school that I was talking about is called. Whilst we're on here, you just have to talk and go, no, 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 no.
I like that you're looking for the school that you to say
I'm
that they were
looking for
fantastic,
both. So the
and then also
school
the
that I can't
awards.
find, I'll get back
Fantastic.
to it. But it's a Catholic primary school, and
Fortunately, I don't know the only
yeah.
one I know is the one my kids went to, which is around my house, St. Anthony's. That's the one I know. Yeah, they're very good school.
Um, yeah, it keeps coming into my head. But Rhiannon has won and the British Citizen Youth Award, which is a huge deal. And the medal will be presented to her at the Palace of Westminster at the end of the
Oh,
month. It is absolutely
that's
fantastic.
an honor for you as
It is a
well,
huge
for
honor.
her.
Yeah, so we nominated her at Elevated Minds because of all the work she's done with us, especially around the Stop and Search Charter. I mean, she's done so much with her, and she's one out of all these hundreds of thousands of children. I thought, oh my gosh! So yeah, we
That's
were.
fantastic.
Uh,
I mean, if you can put me in touch with her, that I can talk to her about amazing achievements, that'd be fantastic. If you can, of course. But that
so
is great.
yeah, so she's gone to King's College at the moment. I mean, I think her results, her sixth form results are A star, A star, A star. You thought,
Ah,
come
why am I
on,
not
come
surprised?
on. But
Why am I not surprised?
yeah, so this is her first year, so she's getting finding a way around, and I think second year will be easier. So we won't actually see her now until July next year when we're doing aspirations, because they what we do is get them to come back and they staff the aspirations program every year. So whoever done it the year before that, because it's now we've done the fourth iteration this year, so we're going on to the fifth. The young people come back and staff it with us, which is great. And so, yeah,
I mean, seriously, say congratulations for me. She'll be like, who's this? Well,
she's
one
done well,
day,
hasn't she? We're going to advertise it in a minute. She's done so well.
oh, you must be proud, I'm sure. But my last question for you, Doreen, is that obviously you work a lot of young people, but what would be your main advice for a young person who would like to create this amazing organization you have created? What would be your advice?
Um, my advice to any young person, no matter what their ambition is, no matter where they are now in their lives, is to have a goal. They've got everyone has a dream. My mum used to say, "You'll never be given a dream that you cannot fulfill," and it's so so true. If you've got a dream, if you want something, hold on to that. But it's always look at the people, look at your inner circle. Who does your inner circle consist of? What type of people as in your inner circle? Are there people who are going to guide you, support you, encourage you, and down the right road, and that's important. And so my advice would be to make sure your inner circle want the best for you as well. So you want the best for yourself, and that's important. Your inner circle needs to have the best for you. And if you find actually no, because that person keeps going down the left road, and that person, then you know what? That person doesn't have their own best interests at heart, let alone yours. So therefore, it's recognizing who's there for you and sticking with the people who guide and support you. They could be younger, they could be older, it doesn't matter, but they have to have that passion to want to succeed for themselves and want you to succeed as well. And so my
Great.
advice is have an inner circle that's really very, very positive, but also supportive and also ambitious for themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
obviously have adults around you who can
Can
guide you,
guide you.
support you, and encourage you, and whatever you need. what we say, we close the gap between potential and performance. That's exactly why we do, by creating opportunities for young people to use their voices. So it's not just training the police, it's working with other corporate organizations, but it's also hosting events and, shining. And that's what it's about. And this is why Rhiannon shines, it's just
Mm,
recognizing that. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you. I love everything. Your message is loud and clear. I love what you do. I love what you say. You are here to close the gap, and I'm sure you've done that already, or you still carry on doing it.
We're working, yeah, can continue,
Amazing.
yeah. Everything we do, that's what it's about, and we do it. We don't forget about young people we work with when we started 6 years ago. They still come back to us. They still keep in
Oh,
touch. They still come back for advice, whatever, and we continue working with them. We employ some of them if and when we can. Funding is an issue. So anyone listening to this, fund us. We need
yes,
we just don't need funding for programs because that's not sustainable. We need regular funding. People are constantly saying you deserve this award, you're brilliant,
yes.
this, and this, but then the funding's not there. The funding's not coming in. Why not? What's going on? And I know the climate is really challenging at the moment, but
Tell me about it.
what, what we're doing though is we're keeping young people on the right road. We are guiding them in a way where they are growing, and parents, the community, organizations recognize this, but we're not being funded. We need a sponsor. We need that regular support. And it's great that everyone says this is great, you're wonderful, and all the accolades we get, all the testimonials we get, all the phone calls I get constantly all the time is really, really valued and appreciated. But we can't do anything without funds. We ran a
Literally.
summer school without funds, because yeah, it doesn't make
You
sense.
need. You
Yeah.
do need. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah. Otherwise it would be me, one woman show, just doing it all, which is what it's about
No,
at
it's
the
not
moment.
possible. I
No.
mean, you're a superwoman already, but you do need support. I don't know. I think we met to a group, Soul Purpose. We met through that group.
Yes, we did. We did.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe you should ask Palma if possible to advertise, like to put your link out there that you need funding because they're a very supportive group.
Yeah.
There's a big
I've
community.
not done anything with her for ages.
I
The last
think you
time I
should.
saw her is when we did a talk with. There's another three young ladies. I say, and that was great. That was a really good experience. So yeah, I will. I always reach out to Pamela. She's just there whenever you need her. So yeah, that's really nice, isn't it?
Yes, amazing. And I'm sure you're going to carry on being amazing at what you do and supporting young people. I can't thank you enough. I mean, there's no
Thank
other
you.
words, but that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Really great. And
Thank
I
you
hope
so
any
much.
young people watching out there, whatever happened in school is not the end. It could be a new beginning. That's how I see it. But I want to
Yeah.
say thank you so much, Doreen. It look like people there needing you. So I'm not going to keep you longer.
No,
We
no,
need
no,
you.
that's absolutely fine. Can I have a copy of this?
Of course you can.
Yeah, yeah, that would be really great because I can
No
put it on
problem.
our website. And just anyone who needs to or wants to know, people can sign up and join us. People can be referred to us. Uh, elevatedmindscoaching.com is where our website is. Elevated Minds is any of our social media. Just put Elevated Minds in and you'll find us. So, yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Have a lovely end of day.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Take care.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.